You have no idea how much of your life is not really yours. Your opinions, your tastes, your convictions, even the things you believe are deeply personal, are shaped more by the invisible hands around you than by your own mind. You may feel independent, you may even pride yourself on thinking differently. But what if I told you that's exactly what they want you to believe? Throughout history, the most successful systems of control haven't needed whips and chains. They've relied on something far more subtle, far more elegant, the willing participation of the controlled. Think about it. If you can make people want what you want them to want, you never have to force them. If you can make them see their chains as decorations, they'll protect them. This isn't paranoia, it's human nature. And the most chilling part, the smarter you are, the more susceptible you might be. Plato hinted at this in The Republic, with his allegory of the cave. Prisoners chained in darkness accept the shadows on the wall as reality because it's all they've ever known. When one escapes and sees the truth, the others don't believe him. They resist. They're angry. Because to admit the truth means tearing down the foundation of their entire world. Today, the walls of the cave aren't stone. They're made of media, culture, ideology, and comfort. And most of us, we've learned to love the shadows. There's an unspoken bargain we all make. I'll give up some of my freedom of thought as long as you give me safety, belonging, and the feeling of being right. Machiavelli understood this bargain well. In The Prince, he describes how rulers maintain power not by force alone, but by managing perception. People will forgive almost anything if they believe it's for their own good. And once they've invested in the story, they'll defend it, even when it hurts them. But here's the uncomfortable truth. This doesn't just happen in politics. It happens in your relationships. It happens at your job. It happens in the way you decide what's worth believing and what's worth ignoring. Consider this. How often have you stayed silent when you knew you should speak up? How often have you agreed, even subtly, just to avoid tension? Those moments feel small, harmless, but they're seeds. And given time, they grow into a life where your own voice becomes the faintest sound in your head. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the German theologian who resisted the Nazi regime, wrote about a peculiar kind of moral failure, stupidity. Not the absence of intelligence, but the surrender of it. He saw highly educated, competent people lose their ability to think critically, not because they lacked the skill, but because they chose not to use it when it mattered most. Why? Because thinking is dangerous, it makes you responsible, and responsibility is heavy. It's easier to follow, it's easier to fit in, it's easier to wear the mask. Nietzsche would call this the morality of the herd, the instinct to move with the crowd, to value comfort over truth. The herd doesn't want individuals, it wants uniformity, and if you stand out too much, it will crush you. That's why the most effective way to silence someone is not to forbid speech, it's to make them afraid to use it, to convince them that speaking will cost them their place in the herd, their livelihood, their safety. And so we begin to self-censor, not because someone told us to, but because we've been trained to. Here's the twist. When you're intelligent, self-censorship feels like strategy. You tell yourself you're waiting for the right moment or choosing your battles. But slowly, the battles you choose disappear entirely. You adapt to the system and then you start to defend it, because admitting you've been complicit would be unbearable. Your own mind becomes a lawyer for your comfort. History is full of cautionary tales. In Stalin's Soviet Union, people learned the art of doublethink, holding two contradictory beliefs at once. The private self thought one thing, the public self said another. But over time, the private self eroded. The public self took over. In Nazi Germany, professors and scientists, the intellectual elite, justified atrocities with elegant arguments. Not because they were monsters, but because they had something to lose. And today, in the age of algorithms, the cave's shadows are curated just for you. Every feed, every suggestion, every trending topic reinforces what you already believe. It feels like freedom. It feels like choice. But it's the most sophisticated echo chamber in human history. So, how do you fight back? First, you have to realize you're in the cave, that the comfort you feel is part of the trap. This isn't easy. It requires confronting the possibility that you've been wrong, not once, but often. Second, you must value truth over belonging. This is brutal. It means being willing to lose status, friends, even security. It means you might be mocked, misunderstood, or left behind. And third, you have to practice courage in the small moments, because those are the ones that shape you. Speak when it's awkward, question when it's unpopular, refuse when it's easier to comply. Plato warned that the price of indifference is to be ruled by the worst among us. Bonhoeffer warned that the price of silence is the triumph of stupidity. Nietzsche warned that the herd will trample the individual if given the chance, and yet the greatest danger might not be the tyrant at the top or the mob in the streets, but the quiet, reasonable voice in your own mind saying, "It's not worth it. Stay quiet. Stay comfortable." The war for your mind is not fought with bullets or chains. It's fought with stories, with symbols, with the gentle pressure to agree, and most people will lose that war without ever realizing it's been fought at all. The question is, will you?